Hey guys, Level Unlocked official video number 1. Before we get into the what, whys and whens of my weight loss story, I'd like to quickly give you an update about my current weight, my weight goals and fitness goals for the next few months. So I ended this cut officially 2 weeks ago at 46 kilos. That's about 101 pounds. I was on maintenance calories for a while after that, and now I've officially started my lean bulk, which means that I'm going to be increasing my calories for the next few months to meet my strength goals in the gym. Now, going back to where I started, how I did it, why I did it, most importantly, I'd like to take you back to my childhood a little bit. And wasn't at all an athletic child. I wasn't sporty. I wasn't somebody that you'd see hanging on a jungle gym. I wasn't the kid that was, running around in the playground. I never played sports at all. Now, that being said, I wasn't an overweight kid. I don't think I had to take my weight outside the doctor's office for any reason. And I think that continued up until my mid-20s. I don't think I ever stepped on a weighing scale, for the purpose of just checking my weight to see if I had gained weight or if I needed to lose weight. When I was in high school and things like that, I never really had much weight to lose. I was still pretty petite. I'm pretty short. I'm 5 feet 1 inch. And then I went on to college, which was 4 years. I lived outside of home. While the beginning was fine, it was the last 2 or 3 years where things really spiraled out of control. We were drinking all the time. I lived in an apartment with a couple of friends. We never really cooked any meals. When we tried being healthy, we would eat things out of boxes like cornflakes or, canned foods and things like that. And then right after college, I started working. I work in the fashion industry, so that involves a lot of socializing. It involves a lot of late nights, and being young and having disposable income just meant that I was spending it on things that weren't the best choices for me. So I picked up some pretty bad habits then, and then I left the country for a couple of months. I went to the States, and I was in New York, and my bad habits became much worse, and I was drinking almost every night. My main meals, my meals mainly consisted of pizza or fried chicken, a lot of candy, and things like that. Now, while I was in New York, when I went to New York, I was probably about 54 to 55 kilos. And when I came back, I was probably around 50 kilos. Now, again, I never took my weight. These are just estimates, but I lost quite a bit of weight when I came back. And the reason for that, regardless of my bad habits, was probably because, I was extremely active. I was on my feet all the time. I walked 10 to 15 kilometers every day. I was running errands all the time. I was taking trains between places. And so I lost a lot of weight when I came back. Now, it was probably the unhealthiest thing I ever did because, I lost the weight, but I gained a lot of really, really bad habits. Now, when I came back to India, those bad habits stuck. I stopped walking. I stopped, being active. And so, and then I came back here, I got a job again, and I was living with my parents, so I didn't have any expenses. I started going out much more. Unfortunately, all socializing revolved, and for a lot of people still revolves around drinking and eating. And now, and that's around the time that I met my husband, and we kind of became partners in crime in the sense that, we would give in to each other's bad habits, and it just became worse and worse. Now, it's around then that I started putting on weight, but because I had lost weight in New York and I am pretty small, I probably could have afforded to put on a couple of kilos at that time without anybody telling me to my face or without anyone noticing it, and without my size going up as well. I got married in the beginning of 2013, and by then I had probably already put on a decent amount of weight. I was probably 56 kilos by then, and the only reason I know that is because my size was had gone up to a medium size from a small size that I would usually wear. And after I got married, things kind of you know went from bad to worse, because now we had our own place. We were constantly ordering food from outside. We rarely cooked our own food, and I started gaining excessive amounts of weight. It was 3 years into my marriage that I realized how far I had gotten in terms of my weight. Now the sad thing is that nobody, told me, and of course I can't blame other people for my weight gain. But we don't tell people, right? We don't go up to people and tell them that they've put on insane amount of weight. We don't go and tell them, that it's unhealthy, that they should lose weight. It's also extremely normalized because we grew up in a society where our relatives, our aunts and uncles and friends and family are, mostly overweight. So it becomes extremely normalized to gain weight after a certain age, right? In India, there's this whole concept of, now that you're married, you're going to put on weight. It's accepted, it's fine, you can't do anything about it. And it doesn't have to be that way, because, if you're careful about what you're eating, if you teach yourself to eat the right way, the right foods, then you don't have to put on weight just because you're married. It's not a side effect of being married. And it took me a really long time to realize how bad things had gotten, how out of hand things had gotten. And in January 2015, we went and got our body fat tested. My body fat was 38%, and the slip even said that I was medically obese. Now that really kind of, it hit me, because I had never been overweight. It was not something that I ever thought about, and I knew I had gained weight, but I didn't think that I was obese. I didn't think that I had a lot of weight to lose. And when that happened, I I started researching weight loss, because the word obese is a serious word. It's not something that you can it's not just being overweight. It doesn't mean that I have a couple of kilos to lose. It means I have a lot of weight to lose. And my waist was 33 inches. As a woman, if your waist is above 30 or 31 inches, you are at higher risks of health, of illnesses and chronic diseases. When if your body weight is in the obese category, you're at high risk of things like diabetes, heart diseases, cancer. Now I already had a lot of issues with my weight gain, right? I was extremely underconfident. I was extremely insecure. I used to get anxious every time I had to go and meet people, because I never had clothes to wear, clothes that fit me well. On a daily basis, I would wear track pants or yoga pants with my husband's old t-shirts. I would wear kurtas with leggings. I would wear just baggy clothes in general overall. And besides that, I mean, I had even more serious problems. I would go to sleep 2 or 3 days out of the week with headaches, or wake up with migraines. I had really bad acid reflux most days. I was developing spondylitis. I used to go and get x-rays of my back, and I had to go in for physiotherapy and things like that. And it was all these symptoms were connected to my weight gain. And unfortunately, even doctors never said, it'll all go away if you lose some weight, which is exactly what happened. So now that we know why I decided to lose weight, or why I actually had to lose weight, let's talk about how I did it. So in the beginning, I tried a bunch of different diets. I tried a bunch of different workout plans as well. I tried the Whole30, which is a very serious hardcore paleo diet. I tried doing a keto diet. I tried eating just home cooked meals. I tried just eating clean whole foods. And on the other side, I was trying different workouts as well. I tried home workouts. I downloaded an an app called Freeletics, which is free body weight exercises. And I tried, I told myself I was going to do cardio and things like that. Now, all of these things are great and they do work for a lot of people. That's why they're so popular, and that's why they're the first thing that pops up on Google when you type how to lose weight. But it didn't work for me, because it was something that it just wasn't how I was used to eating. It wasn't how I was used to living my life, where the diets were concerned. I don't think I stuck to any of them for more than 10 days, except for the Whole30, which I literally stuck to for like 2 days. And where workouts were concerned, I either didn't end up going for any of them. I think I used the app for about a month, and I think I did home workouts for maybe 10 days. And again, the reason none of these worked for me is because they weren't things that I was enjoying doing. So it was extremely important for me to find things that I enjoy doing. I started researching nutrition. I started learning about calories. I started learning about which foods I should be eating, which foods I shouldn't be eating. And it turns out that there aren't any foods that I really shouldn't be eating, unless it's like breaded fried chicken, which even if I wanted to, I could figure out a way to fit it into my calories. So I spent many months researching nutrition. Even today I'm learning new things. I spent a long time learning how to count my calories. I spent a long time learning which foods contain with what kind of macros, how many calories, to a point where today you can give me a plate of food and I'll be able to give you an estimate of how many calories that plate of food has. Now, I'm not saying that everybody should go out and do that, but you should be aware of what you're putting in your body without blindly following diet plans, and without blindly saying I'm going to follow a keto diet, I'm going to give up all carbs, or I'm going to give up eating all kinds of fats, because it's not sustainable. Now it's the same thing with working out. I went with my husband to the gym. I finally decided to get over my anxieties. I pushed myself to go to the gym with my husband, and he gave me a plan. He customized a plan to something that I would enjoy doing. And as many of you who follow me on Instagram know, that I now have a passion for lifting. From being a complete weakling, somebody who probably couldn't lift a 5-kilo dumbbell for more than a minute, and today I'm able to lift much more, and do it with a smile on my face. So it's extremely important with your diet and with your workout to find things that you enjoy doing, things that become a part of your life, and things that kind of become like a hobby. Because as I said earlier, a lot of us, our lives, our social lives revolve around eating and drinking, and when you meet friends, you meet them around eating and drinking. When you're planning your weekends, it's around eating and drinking. And if that resonates with you, if that's how your life is, think back to your last weekend, or think of what you're going to be doing this weekend or the weekend after this. And if it, if the first thing that comes to your mind is eating and drinking, then you should really be thinking about what your passions are and what your hobbies are. And if not just in fitness, but find passions and hobbies outside of outside of eating and drinking, so that you can treat food as fuel, because that's exactly what food is. We'll talk more about that in videos to come, but it's extremely important to look at food and drink as something that's not just entertainment. Now I just like to end this video on a somewhat motivational note, because it's something that I've thought about a lot. Now, when we're all house proud, we'd like to be house proud. People who own nice cars are car proud. A lot of us are job proud. But it's extremely important to be body proud, and not just because of how you look, but because of what your body can do, what your body can achieve. And no matter how big you are today, in terms of size, no matter how unfit you think you are, you can achieve the goals that you want to with your body. You can achieve the body that you want, you can achieve the fitness goals that you have. Because if I can do it, somebody who is absolutely unathletic, I promise you that anyone can. Don't forget to like this video, and if you haven't already, hit subscribe. Let me know what you'd like to see in the next video in the comment below. Bye.